S01 Episode 20, The Roundel Report.
More episodes than a season of Friends. So, yes, good day to everybody. And how have you been, Mel? You've been travelling a bit, haven't you?
God save the Queen.
Yes, well, she's Harry, can't she's beyond saving, bless her. Took a nod to her, but we will be doing a special.
The Queen is dead. Long live
the King.
Well, that's another one.
Yeah, you've got that.
And the Queen Consort, i.e. mistress, i.e. person that no one likes.
She's not that bad. But hey, we'll be talking about that in a little special, what we all think of, especially the coverage of it. The fact that I see they've removed just about every comedy program on the television.
Well, most. Were you saying some channels have been removed as well?
Yes,
right?
some have just got notices up.
Can't be bothered.
Can't be asked.
Day off.
BBC Two last night was BBC One, for example. So in other words, if you flicked between the two, it was just the same thing. And it's that kind of forced mourning.
Like singing God Save the Queen outside Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, which is a bit kind of out of bit.
Because she wasn't flipping well there.
Well,
on top of that,
she died in another country, and like I say, she wasn't there. So what was the point? And she was already dead, so they should have been singing "God Save the King."
Yeah, well, I think they did that too. Once they realised their error, they then began to sing "God Save the King."
It's some of the things people come out.
Yeah, but they do it because they want to be on TV. They know there's going to be cameras everywhere, and it's just good for your social media.
Oh, did you see that? Loads of people standing there doing this.
Yeah,
what are you filming? What are you filming? You could have done that any day of the week. It's just the building. The building doesn't look any different.
Well, you got the thing. You got the flag at half mast.
Oh wow!
Well, it's something, isn't it?
Right, so you got a picture of it, so you can stick it on your
Facebook and
TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, seriously, it just is. Yeah, and the people they interview on the TV, they go, "Oh yes, it won't be the same. I don't know what we'll do at Christmas." So this is what I saw one. We don't know what we do at Christmas because it's normally the Queen's speech. I mean, really?
That's a good point. It's going to be the King's
Who gives a fuck?
Well, I'm just.
I mean, most people turn over for Wallace and Gromit anyway.
Yeah, well, the snowman.
The snowman. Oh,
but everyone loves the snowman. I'd rather watch that than the King's speech.
Yeah. Matt said that in every Caribbean household, there's a picture of Jesus Christ and a picture of the Queen. But I would have thought sort of the younger generation there would have been a picture of Bob Marley.
No, yeah, not at my dad's place. There wasn't a picture of the Queen in my dad's place. I'll tell you that much.
And perhaps Princess Margaret smoking a big reefer. Anyway, I digress because that's a different episode, folks. We're just having a little tete-a-tete over our dear departed Queen. I mean, let's be about right. She dies really 36 hours after being visited by Liz Truss.
Did she do it?
Did she slip her a Mickey?
Or did the Queen take one look at it and decide, no?
Exactly.
I've had enough.
I'm off.
This is it, yeah.
That's it.
How many prime ministers has she seen in that? 15?
Quite a few.
It's a lot. Since 1930, whatever it is.
Well, she's seen half a dozen damn near since 2010. All Tories. Because they changed their leader more than the leaders changed their undies.
6 leaders, I think, in that time.
So 2010, right? No, we're on, we had Cameron, and then we had May, And then we had Boris.
And
So
now we've got Truss.
we're
So
on the fourth. Right, all trying to claim that they're brand new, and that this time things will be different.
Are we including Clegg in that because he was part of the coalition? So that's 5. Yeah, well, you have to.
Yeah, but he was
still. It still counts.
He was the sort of government's equivalent of a teaching assistant.
Yeah, he hasn't
not
done bad for
conducting
himself.
the class. He's just
But
making
he's done
sure.
good for himself now, working at Facebook.
Oh, is he working at Facebook
I think it's Facebook.
for the metaverse?
Yeah,
Yeah,
earning
Oh,
his
good
many
for that.
millions.
Yeah, what a wally. But yes, the fourth. She's the fourth one. So anyway, today's subject, debatable, and the winner is because after 2 months of navel gazing,
The winner is not us.
not us. Well, the Tory party have finally chosen their leader. 2 months of something duller than a November afternoon, culminating in the Tory party membership, of course, voting in their new leader. But a significant number, it appears, of the membership didn't vote, which is it's a bit rich, isn't it?
Pretty much like all elections, right?
Yeah, but you would have thought that Tory party membership itself would have come out in full, but it clearly shows, as a recent poll only just a few days ago, still suggests that amongst Tory party members, Boris Johnson is still more popular than the 2 main protagonists in the recent leadership election. How about that?
How is that a surprise?
Why did they get rid of it? It's a bit like buyer's bereavement, isn't it?
It's like political posturing. You know that obviously within the Conservative Party, they could no longer tolerate Boris Johnson, obviously for what transpired previously with Mr. Hansey.
You mean the parliamentary party?
Yeah, the parliamentary party. Yeah,
except apparently for
not grassroots.
Of course, apparently, except for Liz Truss, who remained loyal to the Prime Minister, even though it was clear that he was a bit of a wrong one. So, yes, Liz Truss, the very person that we said a few podcasts ago we didn't want. So she's the winner, and of course the losers are the rest of us. What an absolute... As another, of course, disaster. Tory leader takes the helm of what has been a rudderless ship of a government. Can she really save the day? And what we make of the Prime Minister's parting speech?
Did you notice, by the way,
the day before he left?
Did you notice how he dragged Carrie, his wife,
oh no,
as fast as humanly possible out of there? That he almost dragged it into a pole. Did you see that? She had to sidestep the light pole because she was about to smack right in it. Because Boris Johnson was dragging her so quickly out of there.
Oh, dear,
he couldn't wait.
Well, of course not, because he knew he was in for an earful. Because in that speech outside number 10 Downing Street, as he was leaving, he mentioned the Downing Street cat and the dog before mentioning his wife. Glad to see your priorities haven't changed, Boris. It's like, oh dear. Yes, once again he forgot he'd already got a wife.
He's got to figure out how to make a bit of money with all the kids he's got.
Hello. But maybe he could take up Martin Lewis's mantle, since I noticed he thought the day before that he should be giving advice on how people could deal with the energy crisis. Go out and buy a new kettle. Because it will save 10 quid over the year on electricity.
Can I tell you that I actually took his advice and I started looking at kettles the other day.
Seriously?
Well, no, yeah, because I was thinking the one I have is so old. I kind of need one anyway, and if I find a newer, more efficient one, I might save £1 or £2.
Well, so if you save £1 or £2 a year on your electricity by buying a new kettle, and the kettle costs you 50 quid or 25 quid even, average kettle price 25.
Well, the one I was looking at was about 89.
Well, there you go.
But
so
it has. Hold
you'll
on a second.
save the tenner.
But it has.
But by the time you save the 89 quid, that kettle will be old.
Yeah, but that kettle has multiple temperature settings. It's well worth it.
Well, hang on a minute. The purpose of a kettle is to boil the water.
No, it's not.
So why would you have multiple?
Because if you have green tea, the temperature.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
If you have green tea, the temperature setting should be 75 Celsius.
Right. Okay.
If it's black tea,
yes,
it should be 95 Celsius.
Yes.
And if it's coffee, it should be 90 or 85 Celsius. So it shouldn't really be boiled.
No, well, why do you need 89 quid to tell you what? You just press the button on the kettle, and if you're having coffee, you wait until it's boiled before you get the jar of coffee out or the fresh coffee and put it in the cup of cafetiere. But then you get the milk out of the fridge. By the time you've done that, it's sufficiently off boil to not burn the coffee.
Yeah, but that's why you get yourself a £25 kettle, because you have to give yourself that headache.
It's not a headache.
I will have a kettle that will do that for me automatically. Yes, I don't even have to think.
You've got the headache of programming the fucking thing.
No, it's on a slider.
It's on a slider.
It's well worth it. It's well worth the £80.
Okay, but then it will still scale up. And
no, it has a limescale filter.
They all have limescale.
No, it has like an internal limescale filter.
Right, okay.
And a water filter as well.
Yeah.
So it filters the water as it goes, and then it removes the limescale on its way out. That's what you get if you pay a little bit more.
It's a faff.
Okay.
That is a faff. Just a bloody boil the water.
Anyway, Boris, thank you.
By the time you've spent the 89 quid, and the time you've saved that on the energy difference, the kettle that you bought for 89 quid, slider or no slider, is going to be as inefficient as the kettle you got rid of. Might as well just carry on with the one you've got. Anyway, thanks, Boris, for that hot tip. I was thinking, therefore, on that logic, that if I went out and bought a new fridge, new cooker, new toaster, various other things, would I not have to pay an electricity bill at all? Such would be the saving over all of the items. Well, using Boris's logic, his skewed logic, it just shows you why he's no longer Prime Minister. Anyway, Liz Truss, did you see her acceptance speech the other night to the party?
No, I couldn't bear it.
Oh, nasty dress.
Always with the clothes.
Well,
it's never about the content. It's always about what she looks like.
We can't take your eyes away from what she looked like.
What did she wear?
Anne Widdecombe's cast-offs.
Hold on, I like Anne Widdecombe.
Yeah, but she's hard to look at. I don't particularly like her. Although
she's a good politician. Hold on a second. Are we claiming that she's not a good politician? She might not look wonderful, but she's good at her job.
She hasn't got a job.
Not anymore, she doesn't.
She's not had a job for a while. She did vote against Fox hunting.
She was also really
vote for the abolition of fox hunting. So she likes animals.
And now we have foxes everywhere.
Now we have foxes. Yes, well, there's a bit of an issue here between the neighbours doing crack and keeping us up all night and the foxes screwing each other and making all of that noise.
It sounds horrible, isn't it, when foxes make... So it's like children crying. Or maybe it's children crying.
It's weird. Yes. Well, apparently they've got barbs on their willies. So it'd make you cry if you...
Make me cry? Why would it make me cry?
Well, it wouldn't make you cry. Might make me cry. If you had barbs on your willy, it'd make your other half cry, wouldn't it? Make them scream like a banshee. I mean, it's a bit nasty, isn't it? Yeah.
What's this got to do with Liz Truss?
Got nothing to do with Liz Truss, but somebody mentioned foxes.
You mentioned foxes.
Yeah, Anne Widdecombe. That's where it came from.
Right, okay.
Because we mentioned Anne Widdecombe, and I said she voted for the fox hunting ban. So you say she's a good politician, but now we've got foxes running everywhere, so maybe she's not. So, yes, she's won. Liz Truss has won. Does this mean you're going to hold to your promise of the last couple of podcasts ago of withdrawing your support?
I withdraw my support.
You're withdrawing your trust for the Truss.
I can't. There's no way. There's no way.
No.
The question is, how long before
those dresses?
How long before an election? Which is the next thing. I know you were
Well,
saying that you think it should be done before Christmas, but I'm guessing that's probably unlikely.
No, there wasn't that I said it should be done. It was
just
I thought that she wouldn't want to place herself in letting things get too bad, and then that hampering her support, because things are going to get worse. Sorry, folks, but if you think that her announcement yesterday, the PM's announcement yesterday on dealing with the energy crisis is the answer, then I think we're sorely mistaken. So I don't think that's going to go down too well. Things will get tougher. If she leaves it till next year, or as she's indicated that she's going to leave it until 2024, when the next election is due, she will lose, because the British public don't like a leader imposed upon them, even though it's a parliamentary democracy.
It's unelected.
You're voting for your local MP, not necessarily. But the reality is, most people vote with the leader that's in charge in mind. They can't help it. I think it's just,
agreed.
Yeah. So
we didn't like it when
Gordon Brown. He delayed it, and he paid a heavy price at the ballot box. And I think Liz Truss will too if she leaves until 2024. But when she suggests that she's not going to have an election until 2024, I seem to remember Boris Johnson denying he was going to have an election a month before he called it.
Yeah.
So, in other words, I wouldn't pay any credence to anything she says on that score.
I don't think we should pay any credence to what she says at all anyway.
Well,
which is the other thing. I mean, if we talk about the energy crisis very quickly, she made the statement yesterday, essentially, about the price cap to £2,500. But what they didn't explain is that it would cost the taxpayers down the line 150 billion. So her first act was to impose 150 billion pounds of debt on us before it even starts.
Well, that's one of the main topics I wanted to talk about in relation, because obviously...
No, I know it's coming up, but I thought it's important.
She's entered at a time, obviously, of the country being in an energy crisis, which is, I do feel...
self-created.
That in her, campaign, she didn't seem to have a handle on.
And she's pushing
the severity of it.
And she's pushing for fracking. And she's pushing for increased production of North Sea oil.
I don't see how that helps, because if you look at the drilling and going down that route and fracking and what have you, the results of that are going to be years off. So she might as well go all in with wind power onshore, which she's I think has been largely blocked by the Tory party. Onshore wind, solar,
Nuclear,
she said only this week she
nuclear
didn't want
energy.
solar farms on land that could be used for growing food. I mean, you can move solar farms. You can move them where you field to field if you wanted to.
Yeah, but at what expense?
No, very low expense. They come on big sort of units. I mean, they're not. It's not an immovable object like a wind turbine. I just think
Really?
they're going at it the wrong way.
Sometimes wind turbines get blown away by the wind, so they are. So they are movable objects as well, aren't they? You seen that? That's hilarious.
Yes.
They put one up and then the wind's too strong and then they blow over. What's the bloody well point of having them then?
It's like a brolly, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a brolly.
It just sort of folds and off it goes. It's crazy.
Oh dear. So okay, the energy thing.
Well, the nuclear. Oh, hold on. What about nuclear? The nuclear Hinkley Point C that they were supposed to be building, and then that got delayed for whatever reason.
If you remember, Theresa May was the one who couldn't make up her mind.
Another special.
Or was it this, or was that another one? No,
Hinkley Point C was the latest one that was due to be built, but then that got panned for whatever reason.
It's still ongoing,
Still ongoing.
It's years over budget.
Yeah.
Years over its timing. A fortune over budget. The cost, even with the current energy price, will still be prohibitive. So it does. Okay, I think. I mean, that's probably the main subject. The main issue for Liz Truss now she's leader. If she doesn't come up with the right formula for dealing with this, it is my view that she's toast before she starts. And lumping future taxpayers rather than extending the windfall tax, I think, is a mistake. BP's head of BP themselves.
But you're exactly right when you say that. That sort of, it doesn't stop the energy companies making gross profits over the course of the next 2 years, because it doesn't affect their bottom line one bit.
No, and they've put up the cost of your standing charge. So the point is there is some blatant profiteering.
So they benefit. None of that money goes back into the public coffers.
Correct, and they're making.
And then we're also in $150 billion in £150 billion worth of debt on top of it as well.
I thought where Starmer got her on her
nationalisation
on her energy statement yesterday was saying that she didn't want to extend the windfall tax on the energy companies and make it greater to take care of these excess profits to fund this bailout, if you like, of the nation in the energy crisis, because she didn't want to starve investment by fuel companies. And the head of BP, when asked if a windfall tax would change on how they invested future investments, the answer came back, no, it'll have no effect at all. So why? Her argument's wrong.
But why? Because they've had record profits.
Correct.
So they have the revenues there in order to do the investment.
So I take it you're with me in believing that extending the windfall tax to actually contribute to the overall cost of this strategy of hers is the right way.
It can be a short-term solution. It can be done over 3 years, let's say.
Yes.
3 to 5 years.
I think borrowing money
is
foolish.
And then you can revisit it at a later date.
Mm.
But if we're in a crisis, surely everyone should suffer a little bit. Not that we suffer, and that the energy companies continue making massive profits.
Well, yes, they'll still make fortunes.
Yeah, because the government essentially will be paying the balance between what we pay and what
170 billion excess profit. 170 billion. But then that begs the question, as I noticed.
That's all right, because when Truss eventually
Truss was a former employee of Shell.
This is my point. So when Truss essentially gets kicked out, she's going to go straight back to an energy company, making an absolute fortune. because it's probably already set up like that way.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
We all hate Truss. That's it. She
Well,
doesn't know.
look,
She doesn't know what she's doing.
Look, I've done a lot of trust bashing. The point is, I'd be more than happy to give her the thumbs up if she made the right choices. And I don't think in her energy statement yesterday she's making the right choice. She should be using certainly an extended windfall to fund some of it.
Can we talk about the healthcare minister?
Teresa Cigar smoking coffee.
At the very least, she's a chemist. At the very least. At the very least, she graduated in chemistry. But how you can put, let's be polite here, how can we say this nicely? How you can put someone of her stature as health minister is the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life.
Funnily enough, this argument was paraded yesterday.
As it should be.
Before we had the news that...
As it should be.
Should the fact of her size and her propensity to enjoy a cigar rule her out? Because you could think of pretty well every other job in Parliament. And find some kind of hypocrisy in
No, you can't.
Don't you?
No, you can't. Healthcare is very...
She's not a great advert.
When it comes to healthcare, this is a different matter altogether. It's not like saying, okay, I'm going to put you in sort of the Ministry of Education, because most people... Most parliamentarians have gone to school, and they understand an element of the education.
You just shot your own argument in the foot there.
How?
Well, they made Gavin Williamson education secretary for a while.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Didn't he go to school?
Well, by all account, he may have done, but
well, therefore it qualifies him, doesn't it?
Not given what the nonsense that came out of his mouth.
But it still qualifies him. You can't be obese and a smoker and then expect the medical profession to take her seriously. Not going to happen. It's because they were best mates, essentially, that she got the position.
Well, of course.
It's fraternism, whatever it's called. I was going to say nepotism, but it's not nepotism because they're not related. So what's the other one? Anyway, I find it appalling.
Yeah, arse licking, I think, is probably the term you're looking for.
I find it
brown nosing.
I find it absolutely appalling.
Well, I don't really have an opinion on it. I think it kind of. But what is clear, and going back to the salient point for me with Truss, I would have hoped that. After all the rhetoric about bringing the party together during the campaign, to more or less exclude all of Sunak's supporters and favour those that just chose to fawn over her last month.
She had to.
Please give me a job. I think, did she give a job to the ex-magician's assistant, Penny Morton?
Yeah, she did. I don't know where she is now, but she was given something. Even Rees Mogg.
See,
kept his business development and something else.
I mean, seriously, the ones.
Yeah, but I like him. He does.
The ones that she should have kept, or ones it should have given to her. I mean, clear to me. I mean, come on, Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor.
Yeah, no.
Seriously. I mean,
I wonder why they hired him.
Because he was. Well, I don't know. Why did they hire him? Might you have an opinion on this? Share.
Not one that can be shared on no.
Really?
All I'm saying is that I'm not surprised that he was put in that position. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, that's a bit unfair. And there's potentially half a dozen listeners out there. Actually, talking of listeners, we've had a lot lately. But there's potentially listeners out there who want to know what is lurking in the recesses of your mind, Mal, on this point. So come on, give us a bit of a
diversity hire.
Oh, you mean tokenism?
Tokenism?
No, I don't. I don't think that. I think there's it's quite a diverse.
Well, that's the point.
Diverse, certainly in.
But it has to be diverse and useful,
it's not,
as opposed to just diverse for the sake of it.
Well, you see, unfortunately.
And then we'll wait and see what happens over the course of the next few months.
In terms of ability, they're all pretty much the same, fairly useless.
But then it's diversity with no direction.
Well, it's plain straightforward. What she's done, she's made the same mistake as Boris and surrounded herself with yes people who will fawn over and people who will support her and say yes, madam, no, madam, 3 bags full, madam. And therein lies her first mistake, because she should have been more inclusive, because that would have helped her to keep the party together. Because now you've got it's going to be very much harder for her to reunite the party after really what has been a few months of bloodletting.
But even to not keep Sunak in a cabinet position of one form or another was a bad move.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, he's a talented man.
Okay,
with good experience in this country, in a crisis. So it seems to me.
And now he's in the backbenches.
I just find it implausible that she
rewarded
rewarded people who shouldn't be rewarded simply because they went, oh, I'll support you. What job are you giving me? Because that's how it looks. And then it gets to, as I said, her main thing, which is how she's going to deal with the current crisis that we're in. And instead of extending windfall tax, she's made a clear division between her and Labour. But it's the wrong division, in my view and in your view. And now we're going to end up with a situation where she's going to borrow money when
at the worst possible
time. She should be thinking about how little she can borrow in order to achieve what desperately she's going to need to achieve. And I still think, looking at it, that there's a failure to address it. I mean, look how the business support only lasts for what, six months.
But listen, but you've got to think.
And I can tell you from, I mean, it's interesting actually. Because
can we take a moment to think about this very logically? We do not know how long the issue of energy will last. There is no end date to when this will resolve itself. So how long?
Well, there is.
What do you mean?
If government chooses there to be, because they can.
If gas isn't,
they can renationalise. That would cost them about 110 billion. Interesting.
If there's no gas,
and take the profits for themselves.
If there's no gas travelling through Europe, then we don't have a guaranteed supply of gas. And if we don't know when that supply...
Britain does, because we only we import very little from Russia.
Well, 13%.
You're talking about a global gas market, a global energy market, and what's been talked about quite a lot actually this last few days is the decoupling of electricity and gas prices, because unfortunately it's dragging the electricity price
along with it, yeah.
Along with it, where in actual fact they should. There's argument for decoupling because the electricity price wouldn't be as high. That's the first point. Then we don't actually import that much, so it seems to me that it'd be much better rather than handing, doing what they're doing, borrowing a load of money, that they extended a windfall tax.
That doesn't change the fact that the gas prices will continue to increase. Because even if we don't, we have about 30% of our supply.
The energy market.
That's not, but it's affected globally.
Yes.
Even if we get our gas from other countries, the cost of importing it
Correct.
continues to increase.
Correct.
So even with this policy now to cap the maximum rate at 2,500,
Yes.
is potentially a very short-term solution for what could be a delayed issue.
Yes, which is why she needs, why there should have been more emphasis on how she's going to deal with, how the government is going to deal with energy need.
It's supply.
And when they can't escape the fact that there's 12 years they've had to do something. They back in quite some time ago, before Cameron got his paws on number 10, there was a big push for onshore wind. Didn't happen. Tories blocked it. There was a big push.
Well, the public blocked it as well because no one wanted it on their
over
land.
NIMBYs, not in my backyard.
Right? Everyone was like, "I don't want it. I don't want it on my doorstep," and so it didn't happen.
There should have been a big push. There was a big push for home insulation, but under the Tory government, that has dropped because of their blockage of it. Has dropped by 92%. Those things, if they'd have been adopted and not blocked. I mean, I read one Tory comment for the time when Labour were pushing for the insulation thing. And the comment from one of the Tories, not that green crap again. And, you know, so the Tories can't escape the fact that they've had 12 years. This has been warned about for a very long time. But you'd think she'd have a plan to properly go all out on renewables, but they also, and not be thinking about the fracking route, because this doesn't change.
It's too late for that now. They've even had to scrap the green carbon credit element. They have to scrap it now because we can't afford it.
No.
So, which is why they're going back to North Sea oil and fracking, because that's the quickest and fastest solution to get us out of a hole now.
Well, it doesn't get us out of a hole for another 5 years.
I understand.
And still goes into a global energy market unless it changes.
But it's faster than pushing the green project.
You know.
And every country is doing this. They're saying, we'll worry about the environment later, and we'll try to figure out how we can heat our homes over the next 3 to 5 years, because that's essentially more important.
But, you know, it will change.
Look what happened in California, and I was there not so long ago. They announced that...
It was your fault, then.
Completely. They announced that by 2035, there'll be no new sales of petrol or diesel cars or trucks in the whole of California.
Right.
No more gas guzzling cars.
Good.
3 days later,
they changed their mind.
No, 3 days later, the governor makes an announcement saying that because of the increase in prices of gas and electricity, there's a likelihood of rolling blackouts. There's a likelihood that you'll need to, I forgot what it was. You'll need to sort of be very careful about your energy bills, because obviously if you can't pay it, in the US it gets cut off. So one side they're saying we want to be environmental by reducing, emissions by removing petrol and diesel cars, and on the other note they're saying, by the way, your gas and electricity bills are going to go through the roof. Expect rolling blackouts, and expect your bills to go through the roof. You can't have it both ways.
Well, no, of course.
California already, trust me, I've been there. It's got major problems.
Well, everywhere's got major problems.
California, no, sorry. California's a state. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, the thing on energy is going to be, I think, I said it in the previous podcast, the wouldn't be COVID, it wouldn't be Russia, Ukraine, it wouldn't be anything else. It would be the how Britain is being hit in the pocket that will define how successful or not Liz Truss's premiership is. And
the level of crime in the UK as well, which has shot up because of the cost of living crisis as well.
Oh, exactly.
You know,
all these points.
These are all sort of like consequences of.
Well, we're there. Well, I assume we've been going for how long now?
Long enough.
About 30 minutes. We'll take a little break there because in part 2, we're going to discuss who Truss is and whether she can make it through.
We're doing a part 2?
Yes, we're doing a part 2.
Why don't you tell me this?
I told you this at the beginning, but you weren't paying attention. See you soon.
Bye.